get ready with me while I tell you how I crashed out yesterday in a new series I'm calling Emotional Support Makeup. Because nothing says I'm about to crash out like running out of your favorite product and then needing to stick your finger in it because you actually can't reach the product that's obviously still in there. Do not even get me started. I mean, the good news is at least I'm going to be able to add to cart later. So the last 5 months for me have been horrific. And one thing that always helps me stay grounded during the worst times ever in my life is the fact that I can do makeup and escape the absolute tragedy that has been I don't know, just basically every season of my life ever. One thing that has been consistent is just my constant struggle of matching my foundation to the color of my skin. As it turns out, it does take me 3 different purchases to finally get the right one. And if that's not relatable, I don't know what is. So as it turns out, having anxiety and depression is absolutely the worst. It's like having dueling dragons, like just constantly fighting each other inside your brain at all times. They're constantly fighting each other to exist at the same time, but need to exist in the same space, and they're also just yelling at each other 2 different things. So yesterday, my anxiety showed up with a clipboard, like she was the girl boss version of the worst person you've ever met in your entire life. The way that anxiety showed up like some kind of girl boss version of Miranda Priestley in my brain, critiquing every single thing I'm posting and then going, oh my God, but look at the other girls. They are just so much further than you. And I'm like, I don't need this right now. My biggest competition is myself. I'm literally sitting there fighting for my life. Okay, I cannot with my brows. I cannot with this energy. Like, this is too much. I literally can't. The worst part is it took me a long time to figure out she was actually the one talking because it felt like she was cosplaying as me. Okay, she's inside my brain, putting stacks and stacks and stacks of to-do lists that I'll never get to and I'll never accomplish and I'll never succeed because I'm over here doing a one-man show, okay? I'm writing, producing, performing, making skits on multiple platforms. She's over here going, yeah, but why aren't you doing more? And I'm like, the way I need you to have several stadium seats. Then it's like suddenly my brain turns into like some kind of weird interrogation center where there's a good cop and bad cop, except both of the cops are bad and they're both annoying. Wow, I just messed up. Bad cop anxiety is there, and surprise, there's no good cop, okay? She just calls in depression, who's also a bad cop. Maybe this is why I always turn to makeup for support, because makeup is quiet, okay? She's quiet, cute, and delightful, and she doesn't scream at you unless you have put on the wrong shade for yourself, and then there is a lot of screaming, mainly from your own self, though. It's not the makeup that's screaming. It's really just your past version of you that went ahead and bought the wrong product, and then you're standing there in front of the mirror, and then you realize, I'm not good at making life choices. So anyway, I'm being interrogated inside my brain. At this point, I do imagine the room did smell like moldy cheese. And depression comes in only the way that trigger depression can, which is being the absolute most. I'm making this sound cuter than what it is, even though I just described the room as moldy cheese. I want you to imagine that at this point, I am sobbing in my laundry chair, except there's no laundry in my chair because my husband did put away my laundry, and honestly, having a supportive partner is the best. This makeup palette right here has been helping me get through crisis because just opening her, you can hear angels singing if you listen. Oh, you hear that? It's amazing. I want you to know at this point while I'm sobbing, I cannot identify these 2 characters are the ones that are bickering in front of me, okay? It just feels like it's all me and I'm doing something wrong and everything around me is so overwhelming because I'm not doing enough, even though I'm doing a lot. This is the point in the makeup tutorial where I realize I've already messed up because I do want to put blush on and then carry the blush up to my eyelids, but you know what? We're just gonna make it work. At this point in the conversation, I don't recognize that anxiety and depression are bickering in front of me. It just feels like me. Just a version of me that's like, oh my God, yeah, I should get it together. I should be doing more. Even though since I've been an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, I am familiar with the creative rodeo that happens inside my brain. It's just the first time I'm recognizing, oh my God, these voices are actually ghosts from Julie's past. You know, you guys, the best ghost repellent you've ever tried in your life is actually this pink color right here. No, because watch. Like, are you for real right now? I would say for me, the most frustrating part about having mental illness and having all these voices talking is that I don't know which version of me is upset. And in this case, I learned that there's a version of me that does not want to sit for 20 hours editing a YouTube video. The way that I was so tempted to get out of that chair and just get up and start doing a full face of makeup, because that is the way that I have coped with things going chaotically in my brain. But instead, I sat down and started journaling. I do have a diary in my notes app, and some of that diary is going into the memoir. So if you want the real tea, it's coming. I keep saying that, but I'm actually getting ready to go to a cafe so I can sit down and finish the summary that I've been struggling with, because how do you summarize an entire life story into a few paragraphs? Tell me, I have no idea. So there I am sobbing through the tears, and suddenly I realize that the version of me that is screaming is a version of me that was doing so much but feeling like it wasn't good enough because somebody in my life was telling me, you're literally not good enough. This is one of the hardest parts about being an entrepreneur and creating and writing and doing scripts and doing comedy and making videos, is that you are the reason all of this exists. And so if you're not well, everything else is going to also be unwell. As you know, I do feel like the wrong name for this shade is Swan. This looks like a very neutral, basic neutral. One of the hardest parts for me being an entrepreneur is that that everything is dependent upon me, but sometimes I'm crashing out on laundry chairs and I'm like, I don't know, what do I do today? Crash out, cry, journal, make something? Who knows? So I'm crashing out journaling, finding that this is a ghost of Julie's past telling me that I'm not good enough and I should be doing more, even though I'm doing so many different things and so many different new things that are super hard. And it feels really overwhelming with the pressure of like trying to do well in all these different areas, when all these different areas do require an expert. And I'm operating at the level of a Netflix production company, except it's just me and I'm doing everything. And I'm over here trying to do it after surviving one of the most traumatic 5 months, after a few years that have been so traumatic. They all have names and titles. I know I keep being so vague about the trauma and the people in my life that have absolutely traumatized me, but I am thinking about doing a podcast episode where I show you characters that are like these people and then give you a story about them. I'll give you an example. There's this one character I call Wizard of Oz because they were so diabolically pretending to be a better version of the person that they actually were, because what they were actually doing was using people, manipulating people, exploiting people. And when I called them out on it, they ended up calling me a bug at the end of the day. But first they told me that I wasn't very successful and that was such a shame on me and my family and that I needed to do more, and that's why I didn't have more followers and I should definitely have more followers. That was in the middle of one of the worst seasons I've ever been through in my life, where I was actually being traumatized by what was happening to me, and they told me that my life was like that because I just wasn't doing enough. Even though it might be surprising, that wasn't actually the ghost that was haunting me the other day. So when I am talking about horrible people in my life, I am talking about actual people that really needed therapy and instead they just harmed other people. I do feel like my villain roster is absolutely unmatched, because how do you tell someone that's absolutely struggling and calling you out on your terrible behavior what they really need in their life is more followers? Listen, the villains in my life have had me fighting for my life, okay? Just like I'm fighting for my life trying to get this to blend. I did see recently a lot of unblended blush in my videos, and the reason why is because I was just using the wrong brush. So yeah, I did journal in my diary until I figured out the voices that were speaking, and I figured out the reason I was feeling so sad is because I was doing something that didn't feel good creatively, and I needed to make a shift. As it turns out, one of the reasons that I am so aware of my creative energy and how it's being exploited is because there are people that have used me creatively and then exploited me till I was exhausted. Oh my god, that almost sounds like something a Wizard of Oz would do, but what do I know? So as it turns out, feeling overwhelmed can trigger your anxiety and depression and put you in that interrogation room. Cue the rain, because why not have dramatic closing to this already dramatic story? This is a new pink. I'm not loving that, and honestly that fits the story so well, even though I didn't plan it that way. I realized that my crashing out, what triggered my anxiety and depression, was the fact that I was doing something and creating in a way that wasn't fueling my creative energy. And sometimes it means we have to pause everything to adjust so that when we show up again, it feels and looks better. Did you see the analogy just unfold right before your eyes unplanned? Yeah, that was the magic only I can bring for you. Remember that. Wow, I just drew my lips on like I'm a completely different person. Like my lips don't look like this. What am I doing right now? You see how my lips are chapped and I decided just to put product over it? Don't do that, because it does give landlord energy where you're just like, oh my god, there's an outlet. Let's just paint right over that. Why even take off the cover? No, that's gonna be too much work. Let's just go ahead and just slap paint over it. We'll get some crusty drips on there as well. We're gonna go ahead and raise the price about $500 every year, but you're gonna get to keep that outlet drip. Yes, you are. Just do it right the first time, guys. Don't do something that doesn't make you happy. Just do it right the first time. Otherwise, you're gonna get a hair in your mouth, and you're gonna taste stuff in your mouth you don't know what it is, and then you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is gonna kill me. I don't even know what I just put in my mouth. Let's try this again. So after journal... You know what? I was just getting right back into the story, okay? Save your drama for a moment where I pause. So anyway, I crashed out and cried. So anyway, I journaled until I was done crying, and I realized that there's a lot of voices in my past that are telling me that in order to do something, you have to do it the way everyone else is doing. And that's not what we do around here, okay? We're doing things that are different. And sometimes that's scary because it means that there's no one else to look at to go, is this gonna work? I don't know if this is gonna work. And then you try it and it doesn't really work the way you want it. I said wait. Like the timing here is what I'm asking for. Is that too much to ask? God, I feel like I'm a high school theater director, like begging the kids to get it together. We have opening tomorrow. Don't talk back to me, okay? You know the routine. I want the routine clean. Doesn't matter that was dance moms, okay? It can be used in theater too. So anyway, I journaled until I was done crying, and I realized there were parts of me that needed to listen to the parts that I didn't like. And right now, you're watching a revamped way of doing video that fuels my soul instead of drains me. I absolutely love doing short comedic videos, but transitioning to long form has been a little bit tough because it involves a lot of editing. And what you're watching right now is the revamped version of the kind of videos that I want to make long form. Sometimes you have to try different things to see how you like it and if it feels good, and if it doesn't feel good, it's time to make a change. Sometimes to learn to trust ourselves again means that we have to lean into our feelings and listen to what they're telling us, because it sometimes tells us that we need to adjust something so that it feels better. So I was able to retire depression and anxiety from them freaking out, and instead let them know I'm willing to adjust my process so that I can make the kind of content that really fuels my soul. And that's what you're watching right now. I love a Get Ready With Me, and I love being a makeup girly, but I'm not a makeup girly. I'm a storyteller comedian, okay? That just happens to sometimes get her makeup to look gorgeously pink and glowy, but not without getting her hair stuck in her lip gloss. Do you see that? Do you see how as soon as I got my makeup good and I was like, oh my god, my makeup looks good, now everything is trying to fight that? So if you're new here, I'm a comedic storyteller that happens to do makeup tutorials sometimes, and those makeup tutorials are a little bit unhinged because we can't always get it right, and sometimes our eyeliner doesn't match, and sometimes we crash out in our laundry chairs, and we wake up the next day and we get to it. And also around here, we celebrate our successes. Wow. And also around here, we celebrate our successes and acknowledge the things that we are doing instead of letting anxiety and depression shame us for the things that we're not doing through past voices of people that definitely needed more help and support in their life and more introspection instead of making other people feel bad. So like, subscribe, follow, leave a comment to let me know that you're here, and also to make me feel less alone in my struggles with everything, including lip gloss and hair. Okay.